So there's actual brain science behind the silent treatment. Ugh, when it happens to you, ugh. Someone doesn't answer your text. Your coworker suddenly stops including you. Your leader won't respond to an email that really needs a decision. Your partner stops talking to you after an argument, maybe sometimes for days. A friend disappears without any explanation and you feel ghosted, right? And immediately your brain starts trying to figure out what's happened. That's what your brain is supposed to do. There's a lot of brain science behind this. And researchers call this being when you're deliberately ignored or excluded, it's called ostracism. You've heard that word before. It threatens 4 fundamental human needs: belonging, self-esteem, control, and our sense that we matter. And brain imaging studies have found that social rejection, and this is a form of social rejection, the silent treatment is, some of the neural systems involved in this distressing component are the same as physical pain. You've heard me say that before. It's really good to remember that. So when someone says being ignored hurts, there's actual science underneath this experience. Your brain is doing what it's supposed to do. It starts trying to solve any uncertainty. Our brains are wired, designed, created to do that. Hence why we're in so much distress about everything that's going on politically, because there's so much uncertainty. Our brains go into overload. And in this instance, with the silent treatment, we replay the meeting. We reread the email. We think about the conversation. We wonder, how we offended someone, if we offended them. We start interpreting facial expressions, response times, punctuation, and sometimes even the dreaded thumbs up. Our brains are prediction machines. And when information is missing, we naturally try to fill in the blanks. And we become anxious and hypervigilant. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's when we get ourselves into trouble. When someone didn't answer your email, your brain has created an entire explanation. Your boss is upset. Your colleague doesn't respect you. Your friend is angry. Your spouse and partner doesn't care. Or maybe none of those things are true. Okay, and this is becoming even more important because the way we communicate is changing. We're incredibly connected technologically. Lots going on in this digital sphere, right? But we're spending actually less time socializing. Here's a stat that I grabbed. Data shows that the average American spent about 43 minutes a day socializing and communicating in 2014. Now, and the stats are from 2024, it's moved to about 35 minutes of actual socializing and connecting. Technology gives us extraordinary access to one another, but it also gives us incredibly easy ways to avoid uncomfortable conversations because many of us do not want to have uncomfortable conversations. At work, we can ignore the email. We can leave someone off the meeting list. We can stop responding on Teams or on Slack or whatever. We talk to everyone except the person that we're frustrated with. And at home, we can leave the text unanswered. We can stop returning calls, unfollow, unfriend, or block. But sometimes technology allows us to avoid and develop the emotional capacity, the emotional intelligence to have a conversation that has us feel uncomfortable. And the impact at work is significant. A meta-analysis I found involving 95 independent samples, I'm just looking at the stats, and nearly 27,000 people found that workplace ostracism was associated with lower job satisfaction, lower organizational commitment, lower performance, and greater emotional exhaustion. Don't know why I can't talk today. Okay, there's an important distinction between like taking space or needing a breather. You know exactly what I'm talking about when you need that, and giving someone the silent treatment. They're very different. Taking space or taking time can be emotionally intelligent. If you're highly activated, continuing a conversation is usually not productive, not even close. But taking space or taking a time out or taking a moment It includes communication. So you might say, you know what, I'm really frustrated right now. I want to think about this and come back to it tomorrow, something you'd say at work. That's completely different from disappearing and making another person guess by ghosting them. So I got 3 things for you to consider and 3 things to say instead. First, don't let your brain turn missing information into fact. It's an automatic, unconscious habit that our brains do. If someone's behavior has changed, go directly to the source. Be bold. Be inquisitive. Be yourself and be authentic. And at work, you might say something like, I've noticed our communication has changed. If there's something we need to address, I'm open to having that conversation. Exquisite. In a relationship with your partner, grandchild, grandma, whatever, it might be something feels different between us and I care about our relationship and I'd rather talk about it than make assumptions. And I know sometimes when you're hearing these pieces of advice, you say, nobody talks like this. We don't, because we go into automatic mode. 95% of what we do is unconscious. We go into automatic mode and do the old, boring patterns that don't keep us close. Saying conversations like this takes skill, takes emotional intelligence, takes critical thinking. I talk like this. My friends around me talk like this. I've surrounded myself with people that talk authentically, and it takes practice. It's a mastery of a skill. So what you're going to do is start noticing what you're not doing. You're not accusing. You're not saying, why are you ignoring me? You're describing what you've observed and creating an opportunity for conversation. This is what lowers defensiveness and gives the other person space to tell you something you may not know. Number 2, if the person who needs space, let me say it again. If you're the person who needs space, communicate the space. You can be angry, you can be disappointed, you can be overwhelmed, you can absolutely decide you're not capable of having a productive conversation right now. So here's something you would say. This is a post-it note moment where you want to put it on a post-it note to put it in the prefrontal cortex of your brain so you remember it, so you can practice it. This does not happen automatically. It takes practice. So here's the saying. I'm a little too activated to have this conversation right now. I need some time to think, and I'll come back to you tomorrow. Will that work? It also might say, I want to give this topic the attention it deserves. Let me think about what you've said, and let's reconnect tomorrow. A little less vulnerable, especially someone that you don't feel particularly close to. You haven't abandoned the conversation. You're actually protected it. You're regulating yourself and you're telling the other person's brain what happens next. We love to know what's going to happen next. That's an incredibly important distinction. I asked my husband today to fix the refrigerator. The water thing is not working right. And I said, hey, well, I'm going out of town today. Do you think you can take a look at that and get that handled? His immediate reaction was defense and no, I can't. No. That's not even on my list of priorities. It felt harsh. It felt dismissive. It didn't feel tender. So I said to him, can I tell you how I'd like you to respond? And he says, sure. He immediately softens. I want tenderness and closeness from the love of my life. And I want you to say something like, oh, honey, I know that's a thing that you want to get handled. With the appraisal we're doing on the house, several other things that we're working on, that one's going to have to go on the back burner for a while. Can we bring that up at a later date, maybe in a month? Because I know how important this is to you. And he repeated it back to me almost verbatim, and I immediately felt relief. That takes uncertainty to a type of certainty in communication. Doesn't mean the problem's solved. Doesn't mean it's all handled. It's the communication of managing the uncertainty that matters, right? Okay, number 3. It's time to stop chasing people that aren't willing to communicate. You know exactly who those people are that you chase. This one is hard because when someone withdraws, or our instinct is to be pursuing them. Another text, another email, another phone call, another attempt to explain ourselves. Eventually, healthy communication requires reciprocity, a giving and receiving. And you can say something like, Another Post-it note moment, okay? I reached out because this relationship matters to me. I'm open to having the conversation when you're ready. Let me say it one more time. I've reached out because this relationship matters to me. I'm open to having the conversation when you're ready. At work, it might be, I've made several attempts to resolve this directly. I'm still available to talk. And in the meantime, I'm going to move forward. Let me know when and how you'd like to participate. That's so good. Oh, is that good? Doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're distinguishing between what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else. That's like gold when you actually feel that. You can invite communication. You can listen. You can acknowledge your contribution. You can apologize when an apology is warranted. What you cannot do is force another person to communicate. And when you pursue, you feel like crap. It's just what happens, and it doesn't feel good. No, it doesn't make. There's another reason that this conversation matters right now, I think. As human beings, we learn relationships by actually being in relationships. That we learn how to disagree. We learn how to listen rather than defend ourselves. We learn how to repair after we've hurt someone. We learn that conflict doesn't automatically mean the relationship is over. And we need those skills now more than ever, where technology is increasing exponentially, right? The silent treatment gives us very little information. A conversation gives us information. So instead of, why are you ignoring me? You're not going to say that, okay? Something's changed. I'd rather have the conversation than make some assumptions. Instead of disappearing when you're angry. You know what, honey? I need some time, and I'll come back to this conversation. Maybe we can address it more tomorrow. Yes. And when you've done what you can, and you're feeling like you're pursuing, the door is open when you're ready to talk, and I'm going to move forward. Beautiful, exquisite. Emotional intelligence at its highest level, especially under high pressure. Okay, I'm cheering you on. Mwah.